Hey gang, welcome back to Film Director Reacts, and today we're doing... what are we doing? We're doing On the Ground by Rosé from Blackpink. And if you're new to the channel, I say all the time that Blackpink was kind of my gateway into K-pop, so they have a big place in my heart, and this is Rosé solo. So before we go into this, let's run the intro. My name's Paul Leach, and I'm a writer-director in Los Angeles. I've been interviewed by such publications as The Huffington Post and the New York Council on Cultural Affairs. I've worked with Emmy winners and Oscar winners, and the feature film that I directed went to Cannes. In this series, we break down footage from the point of view of a film director, and we will stop often to look at shots. If you have not seen this video or this footage before, please go watch the whole thing all the way through, because again, we stop all the time, and then come back here and break down the footage together with us. Okay gang, again, if you have not seen this video all the way through, please go watch it all the way through first, then come back here as we break it down together, because we will stop a lot. So, without further ado, let's check out Rosé's On the Ground and action. Is that a satellite? Did that satellite hit that car? What are they saying? Let's figure it out. That's a limo. Right off the bat, I like this framing here. She's crowded over into this frame. You know, one thing I have about a lot of K-pop videos is that like everything is right down the barrel of the gun, which is, I guess, pretty normal for commercial stuff. When you want to do stuff cinematically, things are off-center. And I like this a lot. So what this says to me, because she's on this side of the frame and she's looking this way and all this space is behind her, this looks like to me that she's sort of crowded or cramped, or she feels sort of trapped.
My life's been magic, seems fantastic. I used to have a hole in the wall with a mattress. Funny when you want it, suddenly you have it. You find out that your goals just...
Typical K-pop fashion, there's a lot of movement in the beginning. Even in the close-ups of her, they're handheld and they're a little, not shaky, but they're handheld. I like the color grading on this. It's not overly bright. It's a little desaturated.
Every night, I've been thinking back on you and I. Every day, every night.
Adding the black and white in is good for texture. So what you want to do is you want to continually add layers of texture so you don't get bored. Again, I say this all the time. What happens is if things are very bright and flashy, you get used to it after a short period of time, 10-15 seconds, so that bright and flashiness doesn't seem bright and flashy anymore because you just normalize everything. So in videos and whatever you do, like movies, you keep on wanting to create more and more tension, upping the ante. One way you could add texture, more texture, is adding black and white. Typically speaking, a lot of videos, they tend to add that later as something that they can texturally throw in towards the end. We'll see where this goes.
I worked my whole life just to get right, just to be like, look at me, I'm never coming down. I worked my whole...
A lot of camera movement, but it's very slow because the music is kind of slow. It's sort of more kind of drifting. The camera's drifting.
life just to get high, just to...
And they're superimposing her image on top of this old theater. When you superimpose images on top of each other, that means there needs to be a connection between these two things. Although K-pop, you never know. Sometimes they just do things only for effect, not really because there's any narrative value to it. Let's see what happens.
Realize everything I need is on the, everything I need is on the ground.
I really like the fact that they had all those fireworks going off when I'm assuming is the chorus, so it just kind of got the chorus to the next level. Her running here reminds me of like that Somi video. What's that called? What's Somi's latest video called where she's just running the whole time? Reminds me of that. Good job though. That big textural difference in the chorus. So what they did here is they just took a bunch of mid shots of her, singing or not singing, and they just kind of had an editor kind of just put those together. So the line didn't lose its energy. What they did is just cut it. So you see some there's some inserts there as they push in. They're just kind of breaking it up to create more energy. We have to say roses are red, love is fake. Some of you know if there's a story behind this, you should let me know what it is. Roses are dead, love is fake. Oh, that's a big freaking hat. Those are big freaking roses on them. I thought that was like an eclipse behind her, but it's her hat. So what happens is when the second chorus drops, because the first chorus hits so hard with all the fireworks, the question is, well, how do we make the second chorus hit just as hard? Because we've already done the fireworks. So they're using the comets and they're adding another layer of something different, which is her on the swing. So what they're trying to do is create variety in all these new sections. Variety without changing set. I like that shot. That's nice. It's a very easy shot, but it's still nice for texture and variety. Oh, and it says love behind her. Oh, that's a nice touch. So they did this overhead shot, not for variety, so you could see the love burning there. Gotcha. Great. They're using incredibly soft focus on her. So they're using incredibly soft focus and very diffused light. So what this does, it gives it sort of this very just soft, ethereal kind of beauty shots. Super soft focus. Is that her? Both of her? Is that two of her? Okay, so again, the question is, how do we up the third chorus? Well, we're just going to elevate it in the air on wires. Can I say though that this setting is beautiful? They actually matched they matched her clothing with this field of flowers. Beautiful setting. And I actually like this wind blowing in her face. It's just kind of very romantic and sultry. It's very nice. I'm a big fan of extreme close-ups because it really helps you connect with somebody. And she's looking right down the barrel of the camera. In TV and film, you don't ever look right down through the lens because the camera isn't supposed to exist. But with music videos, you looking down the barrel of the camera is fine because you're trying to connect with your audience. The setting is amazing. This is so beautiful back here. Yeah, wow, I wonder where that is. So in TV and film, you have someone, and I'm sure in music videos, who's a location scout, and what you do is you're like, hey, we have these scenes, go find us these places and these locations, and they go try to find these stuff, and they say either we found something perfect, or we have these options, what do you think of this, this, and this? Sometimes you find things better than what you wanted, sometimes you don't, but once in a while you do. I wonder where this is. Yeah, this is so beautiful. This is just a great location. Is this real though? Because it goes back to infinity, so I wonder if that's real. I don't know. And then these other things are rising up with her, and she's on a wire there, so someone had to go back and edit that out. Great. Okay. Let's talk about it. So Rosé's On the Ground. This is a really good example for any of you guys who are into editing or even directing. So they didn't use a lot of sets. I think there's only 3 sets. That interior, which kind of had the piano and sort of looked like a thrift shop or an old place with a bunch of old stuff, timey stuff around. The second set was sort of outside of that movie theater-ish place, and the third set was in that field of flowers. Now, the reason why this is such a good example of how to direct and edit is because they really made the most of those places. The way that you create energy, or they create energy, is they just took a lot of shots and they just kind of cut those shots together with a lot of different fast cuts. They did a lot of inserts with her not singing. So, you know, you see that a lot, someone singing, and then it's just sort of like a model shot of them as the song goes back, and it goes back to them actually singing again. Throwing those inserts in really chops up the space, and it kind of adds to the energy and doesn't keep it from getting boring. Because the worst thing that you can do for an audience is to bore them. And so all these different kinds of shots are there in order so you don't get bored. What I really would have liked to have seen, since they did that one bird's eye shot of her swinging and it said like love and everything on it, I would have loved to have seen a bird's eye shot of her in that flower field where she's just kind of like coming up and all the flowers underneath her. They wish they would have used that shot more than once. It would have worked perfectly there. Missed opportunity. Interestingly enough, though, they didn't take that black and white idea and they didn't carry that through and use that as texture throughout the rest of the piece. It was almost like an idea that they started with and they just kind of forgot. The director and editor did a good job on the chorus because the chorus itself just kind of is a beat. There's not really anything sung, there's no melody. She just says on the ground and then a beat happens. And so in order to actually give that a little bit more impact, what they did is then they did the fireworks, they did the comets, they changed scenes all of a sudden. They visually created impact. Overall, just very tastefully shot and very sort of dreamily shot. It feels sort of like you're in a dream with sort of that haze and sort of the soft focus. So I think that the way the video was shot really fit the tonality of the song well, so good job. So again, for Rosé's On the Ground, that's a wrap.